Today, a conversation with Coach Renato Subotic, a very short one, relatively speaking. We don't get into everything. He made headlines recently because he tried to fly to the United States for a seminar. He's natively Italian, but he's a permanent resident of Australia, and he was flying to the United States for a seminar. And there was a layover on the way from Sydney to California in Honolulu. And when he was there, it was discovered basically that his visa was approved, but it wasn't necessarily the right one. And in an instant, he'll tell the story. You'll hear him. He goes from being like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" to the next moment he's in a federal prison. Now, we don't talk about what happens in this interview in that prison. You can read his Instagram post for more details. I'll put that in the description box below, a link to it anyway. And it should be noted that the government has, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a bit of a brief statement about this. They say, quote, "Facts. Renato Subotic entered under a visa waiver program that prohibits compensation. Only travel reimbursements are allowed. He couldn't meet the requirements to prove he wasn't being compensated for participating at a high-dollar multi-day event. The law is clear. The burden of proof is on the traveler. Since he couldn't provide detailed answers or the necessary documentation for compensation related to the work event, he was held until the next available flight out the following day." Basically, in terms of overview, Renato Subotic doesn't challenge that in any kind of way. You'll hear his story. I think his story is just one that this was a gigantic misunderstanding that could have gone in a really bad way, and it went a way that wasn't great. But he was ultimately able to get home and be safe, and he's okay today. But perhaps while a misunderstanding, an important lesson, I think, for a lot of different parties to learn here, and a crazy scenario, certainly a wild turn of events for him if you read the stories he tells on the Instagram post. So I just want to hear from his perspective in fuller detail what happened that day, and that's what this conversation is. So without further ado, Renato Subotic. Coach Renato Subotic, welcome.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Good, good. By the way, I just gotta say, I'm a big fan of your training videos, and you got
I
right back
appreciate
to them as well. They're a wonderful resource for folks who don't know about that. But we'll get back to that in just a second. Let's just talk about what happened. So, you are, as I understand it, you are natively Italian, but you live in Australia. Is that right?
Yes. So actually, I was born in Slovenia,
Okay.
and I moved in Italy when I was 3 years old. And I lived all my life in Italy, in North Italy, and I moved in Australia 6 years ago.
Okay. So, are you a citizen of Australia? How does that
No,
work?
I'm a permanent resident, but I'm a Italian citizen.
Okay. And you're a coach and trainer. What is the name of your gym? Do you train any guys that the audience might know? Anything like that?
So I'm the head coach at the Infinity Gym, and I'm also the head coach of the MMFT. MMFT have been around for a long time. I had back in the day, one of the first guys I've been working with was Marvin Vettori, and let's say at the moment we rebuild the team. We have some amazing prospects coming up. Actually, we have the super heavyweight, Godly Strong. Uh,
I saw
you
him. He's this
probably saw some
huge
video of
guy,
it.
right?
Yeah, it's fighting in a couple of days, and also another girl which she's gonna make a statement in the bantamweight division. Nikolia Milosevic. She's a two-time amateur world champion and one-time European champion. So at the moment we have a huge pool of new talents coming up. Of course, me from moving in Italy, from Italy to Australia, you have to restart everything. But it's some big names which already you know a few of them like Godly Strong, etc. But a few of these young prospects they're gonna make the statement in the next year or two.
So earlier this week, or I guess I should say at the end of last week, I suppose, I
Yeah.
made a little bit of news because you were set to do a seminar, as I understand it, in San Francisco. Is that right?
Yes, I was a guest at the Combat Sports Academy in Dublin, California, with Coach Kieran, which we've been in touch for a long time. It was like a long time I wanted to do a seminar in US because most of my following and most of the people who follow my page and my work are actually US based audience. So I didn't even expect that. Soon as he put, I will be one of the guests of the seminar. The seminar went sold out very quick, and that was for me, um, a very good reason to go there, because first of all I wanted to connect with many UFC fighter who they constantly ask me to do some work together, and also with coaches, because martial arts at the end of the day is all about sharing knowledge and an exchange. So yeah, sadly the seminar went through, but I couldn't be there. We still planning to do something in the future. I'm not. Let's start from that. I'm not banned, or I don't have any criminal record for what will happen, because it was a bit confusing for the audience and for myself in first place. I'm still trying to figure things out. I'll be honest with you. I came back 2 days ago. I went back through the gym, straight back to the gym, and I'm still processing things, because it was like almost like a movie, not one of those good ones, but yeah.
All right. So the basic way that this, as I understand it, by the way, what kind of passport were you using? What country?
Italian,
Italy.
yes.
Okay. All right. So as I understand it, you were set to fly from Sydney, Australia, which is where you're based, all the way to eventually California, but the layover and where you interacted with the U.S. border was in Honolulu.
Correct.
The very, very brief story is there was something wrong with your visa, and it didn't work, and they sent you home.
Yes.
What happened?
So I tell you my point of view. I don't really. I'm not really very well informed about the politics in US and everything. It's not like something I want even to discuss or talk about it, because uh, as I say, I was simply trying to attend to the seminar. The the main reason, the main issue was I applied for the ESTA visa, and the ESTA is mainly like how can I say, like a travel visa if you want to visit some places, etc. Right? But it was like a bit of confusion in few point of what actually happened. The first uh, confusion was like the transition was very quick from can you provide us some more information, everything is fine, to like you're going in jail. It was like a bit shocking on that side. So the issue was about the visa, which I clearly put all the information on the visa. So I put the credential of who's hosting the seminar, where the seminar is going to be done, and everything. Instagram pages about the events, all the things which you should attach, just to make it easier. It was everything at the last minute, so because I'm very busy with the schedule, like I'm flying every week for fights, and it wasn't for me. I wasn't going to US to make money of that seminar. Usually, I do seminars all around the world, and I charge a fee for my knowledge and for what I bring on the table. In this case, me and the promoter of the seminar, we agree, because we've been chatting for a long time, to cover and reimburse my expenses to fly there, and the accommodation, the food, and start some connection and start some work together, right? So I clearly explained that, and I was very collaborative, and I was trying to to answer to any question, and I simply say, like, it wasn't like much more to answer. I say, guys, if you need more information on the visa application, is the number of the coach and promoter. You just call him, and you're gonna have all the answer you need. No, basically things got conf- will start getting confused in the process. So they put me in the room, in an isolated room with other people, which was having like issues with their visa to enter in the US. And they started me ask a normal question, and I was thinking, everything is fine. Actually, the officer who I was talking to, he reassured me, said, listen, next time just apply specifically for this type of visa, which, because you're a public figure, it makes like everything easier. We understand that you are not gonna make like I don't know. People maybe think I will have made tens of thousands of dollars or even 5,000. It wasn't that the case. It was like literally the minimums to cover. It was the reimbursement to cover the expenses of all of that. Anyway, I give all the information needed, and I could hear the officer talking on the other side of on the wall, and one officer came to the other officer and say, who wasn't the one who was talking to me, and say, guys, this is a very known coach, and that's what he does. Like he's not an illegal immigrant. He's simply going to share knowledge on the seminar. He was trying to explain the documentation, which was like pretty easy to understand. And the officer, I could hear like he was like, no, like it's not clear. We don't know if he's an immigrant or no. Like, and I could hear. So when he came back, I simply told him, listen, I'm, I'm not, I don't intend to be an illegal immigrant in America at all. Like I had like a pretty good life. I make a good living. I have an amazing job, an amazing life. I don't need that. I do love America. I love the passion of American people for the mixed martial arts, and really, the it's probably the things I love the most. I love the most about attending to this seminar was so much excitement. I received hundreds of messages from a lot of athletes and competitor and passionate about the sport, and that was the issue basically. So I say, what else I could do um, to help you with that? And he said to me, well, do you have evidence you're not getting pay? And it was a lot of question, and I simply say, I can show you on my phone. And I went to take the phone out, and the officer say, no, you cannot use your phone. And I'm like, it's 2025, like everything is on the phone. If I have to show you some documentation, it's gonna be there, no? And basically it was a clear in my opinion, that's my understanding, and was like uh, not really I didn't feel that officer in case. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's the system, because I do believe in respecting the rules. And I believe if someone comes illegal in the country, in any country, he should be sent back to where he is, depending, of course, the reason. I'm talking about if someone just arrive on a plane and tries to sneak in a country, should be a process to understand that. But it was clear the reason why I was there. So they basically tell me, Renato, we're gonna search your baggage and stuff. So they start searching. They start searching me, and basically I was 2 days in America, so I had only MMA clothes in there. It was like in and out, because as I said to you, I have a fight week coming up. I have three professional fighters competing in 3 days, and for me it was like in and out, no. And they basically seen like I have nothing there, like my phone chargers and clothes, and they sit me back in the room. After that, they bring me to another room, and they start to make me do a sworn statement, which the question was pretty like probably their standard question, but it's like, where are you from? Where is your family from? What's your family background? How old is your mom? How old is your dad? Like all this is in the documentation. And towards the end, I'm very collaborative, and I'm like this. I'm all about, people are doing their job, and if I can make it easier, and if I did something which is missing, I'm happy to provide the information needed. Basically, going going with the statement. At the end of the statement, he say, they read me basically. Do you understand everything what you say in this statement? Yes. And they say you basically gonna get sent to a federal prison. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm like, I'm questioning. Like, what do you mean I'm going to prison? Like, it's something wrong in my bag. It's something I did wrong. And they are like, no, no, you didn't do nothing wrong, but your visa is not the correct one. We are worried about basically me going there and collect, I don't know, some large amount of money. I don't know from where. So I explain them and I say, you can contact the promoter again. I'm not gonna go in jail, like I didn't do nothing wrong. You can contact the promoter and you can easily go to the resource directly. That's what I believe it was like the problem. The officer who could have just called the promoter, the coach, and asked what's going on. They will provide information and everything will be easy sorted, right? But when I say that before they finish the statement, they say, "Oh, we have our way to get the resources." But like I don't know, for me, it's like same in martial arts. If I can teach my student a easier way to win the fight, I'm gonna teach you the easiest way. And I think the officer could just like ring the phone and make it up, in my opinion. On the other end, so when they told me you're going to prison, I'm like, wait a minute. A federal prison it's not like they put me, I don't know, in a room waiting for. And I say, guys, I can afford comfortably to get a hotel, and I'm not struggling financially. I can get a hotel. I'm gonna leave tomorrow if that's the issue. I'm not intending to stay um, here longer if my visa on your end is not correct. And they say no, like that's the procedure. We're gonna send you in prison, and we're gonna send you home on the first flight. And I'm like a bit confused, and I'm like. Uh, I'm trying to understand, and they say like, well, what about if I don't want to go to prison because I feel like, do I have like the right to call my lawyer, etc.? They say no, you don't have right to call your lawyers, but we can call the lawyer for you. So basically, they reach out to my lawyer and they say, I'm being detained, which can be like anything being detained. Nobody could imagine like possibly what actually was. And that's where like all the things get a bit weird, and that's what I feel is a problem in the system. No matter what political idea I have, someone, what I believe is like um, you cannot put like people who maybe have done some mistake on the application, or that's my personal opinion. They don't have any criminal record. They never did nothing wrong in US too. They never had like any sort of record to say like, oh, he did that once, he's gonna do it again. You know what I mean? And to send him in prison with like criminals of any kind, and any type of like reason why they're in there. So basically they took me, they handcuffed me, they put me in the car, they walked me literally out like as a criminal basically. The visa wasn't the visa was approved, but for the officer wasn't right. Anyway, so I get put in the car, I get drove in the prison, and when I get drove to the prison, I realize, wait, that's like a proper prison. It's not like from the outside. Not what I could say. I'm like, they're not taking me to a room waiting for my flight to tomorrow. And that were like I felt a bit. Look, I'm not a guy who embarrasses himself. It's not like I get embarrassed for anything, but I do have my honor and my pride. I'm a man of honor, and as a martial artist, uh, I like to respect those values, And they put me in the room basically, and they took me to another room, and they say, "Take your clothes off," and that's your prison clothes. And I'm like, what? Like, wait a minute. That's what's happening. And they basically did all the procedure they do to uh, every criminal, basically. So I was naked. They made me squat. They made me do all those things. We don't need to go into detail, but which, as I say, I'm not a guy who get embarrassed, but it's humiliating to go to this procedure. Why you basically didn't do nothing wrong to be there. Um, Nothing like to be on that type sort of facility. They fingerprint me, they took pictures, and they start asking me a question. I think they ask to everybody. So, do you think to harm yourself? No. Do you have your parents are alcoholic? I said, no, like everything. No, because I was blessed. Thank God to have like a beautiful life and and uh, and great upbringing. So the next step, it was like where I actually went a bit I stood my ground because the officer said to me, "Listen, if you basically are not collaborative, which I was completely, you could end up like having like a longer sentence to stay in there." And I'm like, "Listen, I might be out tomorrow, maximum 1 week." They say to me, "Probably tomorrow, but in case maximum is gonna be 1 week because depends of the flight." I don't know those details, but they sent me to the medical room, and the doctor said to me, "Normal checks. Do you have diabetes, etc.? I'm a healthy male. I don't smoke. I don't use any drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I'm an athlete, even if I'm mainly coaching now." But the next step was where I got concerned when they took the a vinyl out and they say, "We need to give you a vaccination." And I'm like, you're not gonna vaccinate me, regardless of what was. Like, I'm a very healthy male, but like, I don't know what you're putting in my body. I'm in a foreigner country, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not gonna get nothing in my body. And the doctor actually say like, "Listen, you have to do it." I say, "Listen, I'm going out tomorrow." I say, "Oh, you're going out tomorrow? Okay, okay, let's forget about it." No, and basically they start like walking me um, towards my cell. And I'm still thinking, look, they probably gonna have like a specific cell for situation like that, which is not like or we all in the sport. It's not like uh, um, we are scared about, let's say, um, violence. That's what we're doing every day. But definitely, it's the beautiful things about a sport. Our discipline is a sport, no, and it's regulation, and it's like professionals. You doing that, but basically, they take me towards the cell. They open the door, and that's what I realized. Like, I'm basically in prison, and it's like the Wild West. It was like um, not a place you take someone who have visa issue or no criminal record on any kind. So basically, they take me to my room. I'm not gonna go in details because my lawyer told me just to not go in details of what happened, etc. But definitely, it wasn't like a walk in a park. I'm pretty used to, like, we all know in martial arts we have a lot of people who come in the sport because they had like a pretty troubled life, right? So I often, I'll be honest, like I had the blessing to help former inmates or guys who really wanted to change their life, and they maybe had like a criminal record. I helped them towards the sport to completely change their life, and now they are some of the greatest human being I know. So I sort of understood a bit how things work very quick, and it was like not a place you take someone who have just basically a visa issue, approved visa, but as I say, an issues on the line. So basically, I stayed there for all day, and the next day, they told me when they wake me up at 6, Subotic is gonna leave in few hours. And yeah, it was like an experience which, like, I'm a very positive person, and I do believe everything happened for a reason. Of course, I would prefer to have been at the seminar sharing my love of the sport and my system, which is very very requested in the US. And I love the US. I love everything about it. I love how proud Americans are to be Americans. But I feel something has to change, in my opinion, like, because more and more maybe performance in other, like, if happen. I heard some stories, and when you are in, everybody tells you stories, but they told me like few weeks ago a singer was in there for basically same sort of like visa issue, and someone else, a partner, like, and after, of course, through social media, a lot of people have reached me out. Was I have to be honest, like, a lot of support from a lot of Americans, from a lot of um, a love for a lot of people who love our sport, MMA, etc. And so yeah, it just was unfortunate things to happen in this way, you know.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot. I mean, it just sounds like a gigantic misunderstanding, basically. In the end, um,
Yes.
uh, what did your lawyer say about all of it? Like, what
My
in
lawyer
terms of like in
say,
terms of the wrong? Here's the thing: like, if you have the wrong visa, like obviously that's going to limit your ability to get into the country pretty significantly. What did your lawyer say about all of
so
that?
I had no, and also I had the blessing, like I spoke with some guard, and they're like beautiful people, you know what I mean? That's their job. Actually, when they took me out, one of the guards who took me to the airport said to me, "Coach, I'm so sorry, I'm a big fan." And that was like, that could have been avoided, you know, like, and that's like, uh, it shouldn't have happened that. And I'm like, listen, it is what it is. And he said to me, well, you didn't see like much of Hawaii. And I said, I guess I saw the worst part, but I will come back. Like, it's not like this stopping me. I just hope maybe my experience helps the authority or whenever to just maybe look into it, because we cannot give so I believe cannot be so much power. And like, of all of these, what's the things which have scared me the most, what scared me the most, and as a man, like they say, we're not scared about anything. What I was scared the most is was actually how in 1 second I was a free man, and 1 minute later I was a prisoner. And I'm like, how someone could do that to me, when I'm like, I just wanted to come help in to come and help athletes in America and share my system and my love for all of this. So um, I do believe it's a lot of individual power, which the officer himself can decide you're good to get in or you're not. It's like, and if it's like I can say a middle lane where it's confusing if someone uh, wanted to enter like for the wrong reason, at least have like a separate facility, or I don't know, they put you a bracelet on the ankle and say, hey, you can go in a hotel. I will be happy to to not have spent taxes payer money from US to hold me in a penitentiary, and I will be happy to have spent my own money and be in a hotel and just fly home the day after. But yeah, hopefully something is done about that, because uh, on my end, what I can say about what's positive, because of all this life in combat sport and martial arts, I handle it pretty well mentally and physically whenever I've been in there. But a lot of people, they don't have the skills, and maybe they don't have the life experience, and this can really affect them. And actually, I had few people reach me out. This this actual fighter in America, his girlfriend came to visit him, and she ended up in a similar situation, and now she ended up like experienced some pretty intense stuff in jail, and now she's severely mentally compromised and damaged. So for me, I went okay. I'm good. I'm more frustrated on the, like, you don't expect that you're going to do what you love, and on the way there you end up in a completely different world, which nothing, in martial arts we have respect, morals, value, code. There is not like that. That's other things in place.
Wow, it's a lot. Have you ever encountered that before? Traveling visa issues like this?
Never. I actually came to America a few times for you to corner in UFC,
Mm.
to Dana White Contender Series, for Bellator, for many other occasions. I never had any problems. I traveled during the COVID to US. I had like a specific skill visa to allows me to leave Australia and come to US. I never had any problem. That's why I believe like it's just depending of who you end up like find on the board, and if he's having a good day or bad day, or things like that, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be like definitely a system which because other people can be damaged. To me, nothing happened. I'm home. I'm like, I'm happy to to continue to do what I'm doing, and I'm not having, as I say, any bad feeling towards that. But other people could have been definitely damaged on that hand, So we need to do something, and if this experience can help, as definitely something positive.
I'm almost done here. Just a couple more questions, which would be I'm thinking about the visa. How far in advance when you applied during when you're in Australia? How long does that take to get a visa approved to the U.S.?
So it depends. So, for example, for the ESTA, you apply it online. The only things I'm not eligible right now. So the only ban I sort of have is I cannot apply for the ESTA online. I need to go physically in the embassy. So that's only
Mm.
limitation. But nothing was put in a criminal record because it's nothing really to put as a criminal. So, but yeah, so you have to go to the embassy, you have to apply, but definitely it's good to have control on the things. You don't want to like that's my personal opinion, but you want to have like the correct measurement. It's hard sometimes, to be honest, but my case I think was pretty simple. You just Google my name, you call the guy who's organizing the seminar, and it's easy done. We could like I end up like losing the flight, and that's where I was like pretty safe and comfortable. Everything is gonna be fine because when I pointed to the officer the fact about look, in 20 minutes I'm gonna miss my flight, he said, don't worry about it. uh, we're just gonna tell them you were here and they're gonna rebook you the next flight. So I felt like, okay, it's just like, look, I control, and fair enough. It's good to have that. But after went very deep and very almost like looking for a problem, and I could hear the other officers saying, "Guys, this guy's an MMA coach. He's very well known, and he's not an immigrant. Like he's going to do a seminar, and that's it."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what else to say. So certainly an unfortunate circumstance, but I suppose certainly to the point that you raised, you're okay. You're back home, back to
Yeah,
doing what you love, and obviously we'd love to have you back here at some point. Whenever
I
all
cannot
that all
wait.
that's
I
ironed
cannot
out.
wait. I'm very excited, and this is not gonna stop. That it's I really want to reassure the my American followers and the people who follow my system. I will be back there. Actually, I have to be back in New York in 2 months. I will make sure to up to get the best visa lawyer in the country, which I probably have it in the gym, and make sure things are done. Like I'm gonna come like with the uh, printed pages of everything, all the information, and make sure I go through that easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say your word of advice to everyone is just make sure your travel arrangements
Yes.
are
Yeah, make
are
sure
yeah.
maybe that, and make sure sometimes like it's always like it's in anything, in any relationship. If you want to find something wrong, you're gonna find it anyway. I do believe that. But if you want to understand, you're gonna find a way to get to the things, the right idea of what's going on. Now it's easy to understand, like if I come there and I'm going to a visa and I have like a massive criminal record, it will be like a good point for them to stop me and say, hey, we're not safe of you going there, like you. But like that, it was like a bit unnecessary, unnecessary. So that's
Well,
it.
again, sorry that it happened the way that it did. Good to see you're back home, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you sharing some of these details. Hopefully, it helps people
anytime.
as they travel to get all of these arrangements exactly the way that they need to be to avoid these kinds of situations. And again, I'm glad it could have been worse. I suppose could have been worse.
Yeah, couldn't be worse. Couldn't be better also.
Yeah, it could have been better. It
I
certainly
could have
could
a
have.
great experience in Hawaii. I could have maybe go to visit Max Holloway and BJ Penn. Like, but I'm gonna go to visit them for sure.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll take a rain check on that. But Coach, thanks for sharing the story, and wish you best of luck cornering everybody this weekend and all subsequent
Thank you
weekends.
so
And
much.
a good lesson to learn, I think, for everybody. Thank you so much for sharing your details.
I appreciate it. Thank you.